This is a reaction of a part of people in a country where the expectation to go to the World Cup finals were very high. And I have to say, it has been promoted by all the media in the world that Colombia will be the world champions. And now they have not been. But this gives to nobody the right to react by killing somebody, just to wave away a human life. And this makes us so very sad.
It's a complete lack of respect for life, you know, in the face of what in reality is just a game, you know. And of course, you know, at this level, that gets kind of blurred. But you know, it's a very sad day.
Escobar's murder was mourned by teams wearing black armbands and by a sign on RFK Stadium during the Spain-Switzerland game. He was 27 years old. And lest we forget, there is senseless violence here, too. A drive-by shooting last night in Ohio has put an LPGA golfer in the hospital. Kim Williams was walking across a shopping center parking lot at 9 p.m. when she was shot in the neck. She was airlifted to a Cleveland hospital where she's now in fair condition. A bullet is lodged near her right shoulder. Doctors will conduct tests before deciding on surgery. Police have no suspects. L.A. police investigators are reportedly skeptical, but a woman has turned over a 15-inch butcher knife wrapped in a polka dot blouse that she says she found in a vacant lot near O.J. Simpson's house. A report in today's L.A. Times quotes sources who believe the knife is not the murder weapon and that it does not resemble one that witnesses testified Simpson purchased in May. The area the knife was supposedly found in had already been searched by the police. The Simpson preliminary hearings resume Tuesday. We'll review the drama of the hearings first 2 days later in the show, and if you just joined us, highlights of the baseball games that we showed you earlier, plus happier moments in the World Cup. And next, the Wimbledon melodrama on center court. It was more than just an emotional farewell for a great champion. It was some great tennis. Fairy tale ending to the sentimental farewell fortnight of Martina Navratilova. Instead, the script was rewritten by an unsentimental Spaniard. Conchita Martinez was a preschooler when Martina won her first Wimbledon title. Yesterday, in her first Grand Slam final, she stood up to a living legend and the crowd's collective will and did not do what so many have done in that situation, choke. Remember Yana Novotná last year. Jack Nicholson showing up. Johnny Carson, as always, there. Martina dropped the first set 6-4. In the second set, she would rally. Beautiful in that play. She still got it, and her coach Billie Jean is pumped up. Martina wins the second set 6-3. Martinez gets treatment for a sore hip as Martina shields her from the photos. Conchita down but not out in the third set. Still using the great angled ground strokes as Princess Di shows appreciation. We take you to match point. The approach in the quarter, Martinez sprays the backhand passing attempt wide, and Conchita Martinez is Wimbledon champion, her first Grand Slam title. Martina, not the way she wanted to go out, but still an excellent effort nonetheless. Martinez, the first Spanish woman ever to win Wimbledon. What a season for Spain. Arantxa Sanchez Vicario and Sergi Bruguera captured the French, and now Martinez. After the final, both players talked about the emotions of the day.
Gave it everything I had. You know, I mean, I'm obviously very sad, but I would have been sad anyway, even if I'd won. So, but this, you know, it's not the ending I was hoping for, but she played better. You know, she played better on the big points anyway.
Well, I was very happy there because I knew she was so excited to win the 10th Wimbledon, and you know, it's tough. I mean, I was happy to win my first.
So at 4:08 p.m. London time, the curtain came down on Martinez's Wimbledon career. A record 9 singles titles, 7 in doubles, 2 in mixed doubles. She leaves as certainly the greatest grass court player ever, maybe the best period. Later this morning, a tribute to Martinez's career. Now to the National League Baseball wrap. Fred McGriff stays hot. Jeff Bagwell stays really hot. And once again, tempers were hot as the Expos and Giants hooked up, rambling for the second consecutive day. We'll pick it up with the crime dog in the second inning. Fred McGriff gets all of the Terry Matthews pitch. Sheffield, he's not going to have a chance. Number 21 on the year for McGriff. Meanwhile, Greg Maddux had everything working. Benito Santiago, sit down. Braves get a water shower from the Maryland's mascot. They get the win 5-0. Cubs and Astros, Jeff Bagwell, as we said, hot. Takes the high pitch and hammers it. Number 26, bottom of the ninth, Andy Stankiewicz on third. Biggio lines one out. Off the wall. Stankiewicz, it's enough to get him home, and the Astros win it 5-4. Now to those scuffling Expos and Giants. Everybody steamed up once again. Bottom of the eighth, Mel Rojas, after a bunch of homers, drills Barry Bonds in the leg with the pitch. Bonds starts to the mound. Everything okay until in storms the bullpen coach for the Giants, Bob Brenly, who tackles Rojas. Bodies go flying. Rojas and Brenly were ejected. A bloody forehead for Brenly. Bottom of the ninth, Expos up by a run, and John Wetland strikes out Matt Williams, who was pinch hitting as the Expos hold on. Reggie Sanders, Tony Fernandez, 4 hits apiece as the Reds bomb Pittsburgh. Bob Tewksbury was cruising along, then he got lifted, and Rich Rodriguez gave up a 3-run homer to Dante Bichette as the Rockies got 5 in the 7th to beat St. Louis. Michael Jordan passed on the AA All-Star invitation. Will he also pass on winter ball as reported and bag baseball for good? No comment. That rumor and more concrete news is coming up. Harding would now rather switch careers than fight. She has until the end of the month to appeal the lifetime ban levied Friday by the U.S. Figure Skating Association, but her lawyer says she now has no plans to. The ruling also stripped Harding of the U.S. title she won after Nancy Kerrigan was attacked. Tanya could still skate in exhibitions, but her current job, ceremonial manager of the American Love Machine. He's a wrestler. Michael Jordan is supposedly wrestling with a decision to bag the baseball and rejoin the Bulls, but that's only according to a story from a Chicago gossip columnist. Meanwhile, Michael's good buddy made up his mind. The Nets made a coaching move, and the Pacers sent a package including Pooh to L.A. Carl Ravitch recaps a mighty active offseason week in the NBA.
Could another career change be in the air for Michael Jordan? His airness may trade in his spikes for his old pair of sneakers this fall. According to published reports, Jordan may be leaving the Class AA Birmingham Barons at the end of the year and rejoining the Bulls for the 94-95 season. But Bulls GM Jerry Krause says otherwise.
I think it'd be a great idea if the fans of Chicago get used to the idea that Michael Jordan will not be back with this basketball team. We want to see Michael in a Chicago uniform, in a White Sox uniform.
Charles Barkley cleared the air on his future on Tuesday when he decided that he will be back for his 11th season and not retire from the NBA.
I think if we're healthy and we tinker with our team just a small bit, we can be title contenders definitely again. And you don't want to say, what if you didn't come back?
The Magic is coming to Los Angeles. No, Magic Johnson is not back as a player, nor as a head coach. Instead, he'll now be a part owner of the Lakers. On Monday, Magic paid more than $10 million to buy about 10% of the team. In his new role as vice president, Magic will be in charge of player evaluation. 2 former Knicks are reunited across the Hudson. Former Howard University head coach Butch Beard is reunited with the Nets GM Willis Reed. Beard takes over the head coaching reins in New Jersey, replacing Chuck Daly. Beard's first test will be to build a relationship with superstar Derek Coleman.
One question we asked him in the interview process, do you think you can handle Derek? Do you think you're having a problem with Derek? He said, I won't have any problem with Derek. And I said, well, Butch, I'm happy to know that you, as a young guy going in, you really don't believe you're going to have any trouble with Derek, but believe me, you're going to have trouble with Derek.
Continuing with the Peaches and Herb reunited theme, the Clippers and Pacers complete a trade which reunites Larry Brown and Mark Jackson. The Pacers package Pooh Richardson, Malik Sealy, and the rights to their first-round pick, Eric Piatkowski, to the Clippers for Jackson and the rights to Greg Minor. The Brown-Jackson combo led the Clips to the playoffs a couple years ago, and now the Pacers are hoping that this MJ can do what Jordan did for the Bulls.
Well, the deal not done created a lot of friction in Seattle and Chicago this week. Speaking of friction, that's a polite word for what the face-off combatants stir up. As always, Dick Schaap referees.
The Chicago Bulls came close to trading Scottie Pippen to the Seattle Supersonics this week. The deal fell through, but the thought persists, the thought of sending Pippen packing. Should the Bulls trade their remaining dream teamer? That's the subject of our face-off today between those familiar Boston College alums and antagonists. Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe and Mike Lupica of Newsday. Lupica leads off.
Trade him. Trade him for a couple of important reasons. One is it's time to reinvent this team in Chicago. He has made it clear he will not play or share the ball with Tony Kukoc. That's one reason. And two is none of his teammates, the ones who are going to be around, are ever going to forget the moment when he refused to go into the game at the biggest moment of their season.
Well, the only problem with all this little scenario is that he happens to be the single best all-around player in the NBA. Talent is the name of the game. You know, he doesn't have a long white beard, you know. He's 29.
Yeah.
The players, forget all about that business last year because half of them are as selfish as he is.
First of all, it's going to come to news to Mr. Elijah that Pippen's the best all-around player in the game.
All-around player.
You know, when they passed around the ballots about Scottie Pippen being the second greatest player in the world and Jordan when he was, I must have not gotten my ballot that day. He's a fine all-around player. There were times in the Knicks series where he was positively heroic as a basketball player. But they have got to move on. Bob, I'm telling you something. He's not going to live that down in Chicago.
Move on to what? The fact you don't downplay how good he really is. The guy scores, defends, rebounds, passes. He can put up a triple-double any night he wants. And I'm telling you, don't think you're giving these players much too much credit. Much too much credit if you think they're going to hold what he did against him.
A brief one, Mike.
He's a brilliant side man to Jordan, but when he was asked to help them win the game in the fourth quarter of the Knicks series, you saw what happened.
Michael, would you have told the Red Sox to get rid of Ruth in 1920 so they could rebuild? They'd gone 4 years without winning a pennant.
Ruth who?
Thank you, gentlemen. Dave Anderson, the Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist of the New York Times, will join Ryan and Lupic on the Sports Reporters, which is coming up on the hour. Among the topics they'll tackle, O.J. Simpson. Do we really know the people we write about? From Mantle to Gooden, tragic flaws, and the World Cup marred by murder in Medellin.
We promised face-off friction. You got it. Coming up, the NBA Draft's last fashion show. The first pick a no-brainer. Many of the others were not. Plus, we'll look at the American triumph that provoked tragedy in Colombia. A World Cup review is still ahead.
Hi, I'm Erica Steele.
The middle of Africa and the middle of nowhere, at least on the soccer map, namely the United States, really spiced up round one of the World Cup. But while millions of Americans are infected with cup fever, millions of South Americans are in mourning, not for Andres Escobar's murder Friday, but Diego Maradona's banishment and subsequent retirement. Steve Levy recaps the Cup's ups and downs so far.
For Argentina superstar Diego Maradona, playing in his fourth World Cup, it was the best of times. And it was also the worst of times. Both the Argentine Football Association and FIFA on Wednesday suspended the 33-year-old midfielder from further play. The cause of the banning was not cocaine, which kept Maradona sidelined for 15 months in the early 90s, but the apparent use of ephedrine, a nasal decongestant often abused for the powerful stimulant it contains.
Both analyses of the urine sample have proved to be positive. And until the case is finally settled, Diego Maradona remains suspended from all footballing activity.
Still with 2 wins in Group D, Argentina is into the second round. Meanwhile, the pre-tourney favorite in Group A, Colombia, never got it going in the first round, as the pretenders turned into contenders. The USA beating Colombia and tying the Swiss. After a loss to Romania, the Americans were glued to the tube when an Ireland-Norway scoreless tie put them into round 2.
We're in the second round. We made our first goal, and hopefully we keep playing and continue well, and we'll keep going all the way to the finals.
The U.S. will be without John Harkes for the Brazil match Monday. The midfielder picked up his second yellow card in the Romania game. The infraction, ungentlemanly conduct. Another surprise from Group F, the Saudis playing in their first World Cup, top previously unbeaten Belgium, in the process becoming the first nation from the Persian Gulf to ever advance into round 2. In Group D play, Nigeria's insurance goal against Greece during injury time Thursday made them the first team from Africa to top a group. The best individual performance thus far was Russian Oleg Salenko's 5-goal game against Cameroon, a new World Cup record. While on the flip side, Germany sends home their star with an attitude, Stefan Effenberg, for an obscene gesture made to the Cotton Bowl crowd Monday. Group E fits its billing as the group of death.
Each team with identical records, only Norway losing out because of goal differential. Besides Italy and Ireland, advancement by Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Belgium, Spain, Bulgaria, Romania, and the Netherlands make Europe the strongest contingent heading into single elimination play.
And the knockout round, ESPN coverage continuing today at the Rose Bowl. Romania battles Argentina, which must regroup now without Maradona. Coverage continues tomorrow. The Netherlands and the Irish in the steamy heat of Orlando. It's something the Irish did not like in their first-round match there. Possibly the best second-round matchup from Foxborough at 12:55 on Tuesday. Nigeria and Italy, then Mexico and Bulgaria at 4:25. Germany getting the winner of that match. Well, had he played one more match, Maradona would have broken the all-time World Cup record for matches. A fallen football hero, American style, is spending Independence Day locked up. We'll review the Simpson hearings later on. Plus, the sad saga of yet another fallen figure. The doctor is out for 2 months, and no one in the Mets seems to see it coming.
You don't, I guess, suspect things. You know, you try to take everybody face value.
Now, when you buy a case of quality Valvoline motor oil, you can send away for a Valvoline hat.
Honey, I'm going out.
Okay.
And become a member of the Valvoline Performance Team. Join the Valvoline Performance Team, and you'll feel like you're right in the middle of the action. So buy a case and get a hat, plus great deals on Valvoline racing gear and a lot more.
Honey, where have you been?
Just out for a little spin.
People who know use Valvoline.
Celebrate a 4th of July doubleheader tomorrow, live on ESPN.
Buxton says he'll be back, quote, stronger and better than ever. Many of his fans, who he let down again, aren't so sure. Thursday, Gooden began serving a 2-month suspension for failing a drug test, part of the aftercare program he's undergone since his cocaine problem in '87.
The commissioner's office has suspended him for 60 days for violation of his aftercare program.
The ban cost Gooden more than $1.2 million in salary. After 2 straight losing seasons, he faces another lost year. After years of passing drug tests, Gooden's sad lapse seemed to stun many.
I think the world of Doc Gooden. I know he had that problem, let's see, what was it, '87. And I knew that he would, in my mind and in his mind, and talking to him, being around him, that would never happen again, you know. And for this to happen, it's just still hard for me to believe. I'm really kind of in shock about it.
You know, he's probably the favorite guy of everybody in the clubhouse. He's very easygoing. He's very easy to talk to, as all of you know, to deal with him. And, you know, you don't, I guess, suspect things. You know, you try to take everybody face value.
Meanwhile, Gooden's former teammate Darryl Strawberry is back and full of promises that he's a new man after 4 weeks of rehab. Strawberry will debut tomorrow for San Francisco's AAA club in Phoenix. At yesterday's press conference, he revealed no timetable for joining the Giants.
I take life today, one day at a time. I'm in no hurry, and I'm not going to be in any hurry. I really look forward to getting back to baseball now. Like I said before, there were times where I didn't want to return at all. I've learned so much about myself as a person and about my sickness that I have to deal with. It doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me a sick person that's getting well. You have to sit down in front of your peers and you have to share your life. And you have to get honest about yourself.
All right, that's good. Good. Thanks. Okay.
Strawberry prepares for his next chance, while Gooden wonders whether or where he will get his. So the ironic linkage continues between these two former phenoms who became good friends. As Keith Olbermann reports, they've been paired ever since they arrived as dual Mets saviors a decade ago.
They have always been linked.
One is probably the most exciting is a young pitcher named Dwight Gooden, and I think he can do for a pitching staff what Strawberry can do for an offensive ball club. He's 18 years old in his first full year, and he had 191 innings in Lynchburg in the Carolina League, and he struck out 300.
The year Davy Johnson said that, 1983, now seems to belong to a different century. That was the year they appeared. Strawberry up from the minors on May 6th to win Rookie of the Year honors. Gooden 4 months later, having gotten his 300 strikeouts, then throwing flame in the Little World Series, televised into New York, around the country, making Met fans drool. So the next year, 1984, was the dawning of a new age. Gooden made the majors at age 19, struck out 276 real players, won 17 games. He was Nolan Ryan with control, Tom Seaver with a different uniform number. Strawberry drove in 97 runs that year, and the Mets were in their first pennant race since 1973. And 2 seasons later, they were in their first World Series since then. An epic drama, as it later proved an epic drama on 2 fronts. On the one, there was the ball through Buckner's legs and the supposed start of a Mets dynasty. On the other, Strawberry would later write that he wouldn't have been surprised if during that series, Gooden had used cocaine. It blew up for the Doc on April Fool's Day in 1987, a trip to the disabled list, a negotiated trip to the Smithers Clinic. The official version was a violation of the drug policy. The report was cocaine. Still, Gooden came back. Clean and sober, he won 15 games between June 5th and the end of the '87 season, 18 the next year. Strawberry, though, had begun a spiral downwards from spousal battery and threatening his wife with a gun through the ultimate symbol of team disunity, he and Keith Hernandez duking it out during the taking of the team picture through his acrimonious departure as a free agent. Even at home in Los Angeles, Strawberry was injured, recalcitrant, unaware of his fellow citizens.
Let it keep burning, because I don't live there anymore, so let it burn down.
But only after 7 years of personal problems was Strawberry linked to drugs. This year, after he disappeared the night before the season opened. This year, a month ago when the Dodgers released him. Gooden, too, it was thought, had been clean for years. His only enemy seemed to be injury, and even then it was 1992 before he had not only his first losing season, but the first season in which he did not win at least 65% of his games. The outcome was supposed to be different. The number for Darryl Strawberry was to be 500 homers, not 28 days in rehab. The number for Dwight Gooden was to be 300 wins, not 60 days suspension.
Mike Lupico, once Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry were the soul of the young Mets, a pair of youngsters with Hall of Fame potential. Now both are in limbo. Their chances for Cooperstown fading fast. You've been close to both of them. Do you think either can regain his luster?
No, I really don't. And it saddens me, having seen them both grow up and grow out of the Mets. No, I don't think either one of them can approach what they were.
You said you saw them grow up. Did they really grow up? So many athletes don't.
Watching what happened to Darryl, no, I didn't think he had. And watching his ups and downs, I really thought Dwight Gooden had. You know, he had gone through 6.5 years of drug testing and had been clean. And unfortunately, as people with this disease do, had a relapse. Baseball, every third start, he'd give you a glimpse. I mean, 2 weeks before he tested positive again, he struck out 10 guys in a game. There's not many guys who can do that, Dick, but mediocre pitchers do that once out of every 3 or 4 starts.
Gooden doesn't promise a future. Strawberry says he's offering a future again. Do you find it hard to believe him?
Yeah, I do, because he's promised everything before, and I wish that one of these guys would learn this time, if they do get clean and sober and stay clean and sober, not to talk about it so much.
Thank you, Michael, and back to you, Chris.
And plenty more baseball talk ahead. Cleveland fans in a lather, normally reserved for the Browns' dog pound. We'll look at the team that's created all the frenzy coming up.
As we developed the new Porsche 911 Carrera, our German test center was...
Welcome back. June may be history, but we can't go any further into July without paying tribute to the Major League's best in the month of June. Earlier, we showed you the wrap of the best from the National League yesterday. Now the American League, some excellent pitching performances by a couple of guys who definitely have the capability to do so each and every time out. That AL Central race heating up. We'll start with the White Sox game, and Alex Fernandez sharp throughout and getting some help early. In the bottom of the third, Darren Jackson takes Cal Eldred out, a 2-run shot. White Sox cruising at 5-zip. Fernandez really cruising. Jose Valentin strikes out swinging. Turner Ward frozen. A shutout for Fernandez, a 5-0 victory. But the Indians maintain their lead. Hosting the Twins, Albert is a god, and the god goes deep. Bottom of the first, home run number 24, a 2-run shot. The Tribe up 2-1, and Charles Nagy gets some defensive help. Winfield to smash. Omar Vizquel robs him and gets him, and the Indians drum on for another victory. Pitchers duel in Baltimore. Mark Langston, a 1-zip lead in the 8th, faces Mike Devereaux, the high pop foul. Jim Edmonds measures it, leaps, out battles some fans. That's why he's making money playing baseball, and they are not. He makes the grab. Ben McDonald frustrated. He loses a 1-zip verdict. Tom Bernansky belted a homer over the Green Monster that ended the A's win streak and smashed a car's windshield. And Jimmy Key was bombed. Seattle getting 8 1/5 in Yankee Stadium. Coming up, the draft night report card. Grant Hill. Might he make Maverick fans miserable? Dallas passed on him. Detroit did not. We'll hear Grant's ESPN fantasy next.
Crime is rampant in America. A car is stolen every 20 seconds. Police need your help. I'm Deputy Flack, and please, wherever you park your car, lock the club on the steering wheel to prevent your car from being stolen. The club is a tempered steel lock that's tough to defeat. Its high visibility deters thieves and makes them move to an easier target. The club is the best auto theft deterrent I've seen, and I recommend you use it. Accept no cheap imitations. Always ask for the club by name. And let's put auto thieves in their place.
Do you know which types of mutual funds are performing best right now? Get the answers when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Call now and you'll also get a free guide to understanding money and investing. It focuses on the risks and the rewards of investments. Get your guide free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Get 10 weeks of the Journal for just $36 and the guide free with your paid subscription. Call toll-free 800-572-2600. That's 800-572-2600.
You see yourself in the master. You are Davis Love on the tee. You are Joey Sindelar in the sand. You are Jim Gallagher on the green. You are Curtis Strange in the air. Until you find yourself in the water. Again, we all live the dream. Watch the Anheuser-Busch Golf Classic Friday through Sunday on ESPN.
Glenn Robinson will make the big bucks. Will he make the Milwaukee Bucks respectable? Did Grant Hill's sleepy time fantasy come true? Is the sleeper of the draft now a Knick? And what was Jalen Rose thinking when he selected that orange zoot suit? Brent Haber has some of those answers with our wrap-up of Wednesday night's NBA draft.
He was the big dog. He is now the biggest dog.
The Milwaukee Bucks select Glenn Robinson from Purdue University.
This coming to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Robinson, the first Boilermaker to go #1 since Joe Barry Carroll back in 1980, and his mom almost missed it.
My parents, they had went to the restroom, and I thought she was going to miss it.
The Dallas Mavericks with the #2 spot needed a point guard to complement Jimmy Jackson, and the choice was obvious. Jason Kidd out of Cal goes to the Mavs despite his off-the-court problems.
They've met with me personally, so they really saw the person that I am, and I don't think the incidents that's happened off the court can really dictate who I am.
With the Mavs taking Kidd, that left the Pistons elated with their #3 pick. They get Grant Hill, complete with 2 championship rings.
This is my ESPN fantasy. I'm asleep. I'm in my bed the day before the draft, and I get up, I go downstairs, fans are cheering, signing autographs. I feel like Chris Berman. I come on over here in the green room, I'm nervous, but actually I'm cool. Then they call the Detroit Pistons, and I get up in my money green suit, and I walk up there, and they shake the commissioner's hand, and now I'm here on ESPN. What more can you ask for?
This clearly a draft dominated by the underclassmen. Grant Hill, the only senior chosen in the top 7 picks. One of those 7, Donyell Marshall, the junior out of UConn, goes to the Timberwolves. Steve Fisher continues to watch his talent pool dwindle at Michigan. Jalen Rose goes to the Nuggets at #13, and Juwan Howard is a capital improvement He goes number 5.
Now I'm getting a chance to showcase, my talent in so many ways because I'm going against a guy that may be, the same level of play of me or maybe better than me.
The NBA runners-up snatched up a player who could be the sleeper of the draft, Notre Dame forward Monty Williams. He's been pronounced 100% ready to play despite having a heart condition. New York also picked up Charlie Ward, the two-sport athlete whom the NFL left behind. Ward is New York's 4th point guard taken in the last 8 years, and that could mean the end of the road for Greg Anthony with the Knicks. Harold Miner and Brian Shaw may be expendable to the Heat now that Miami has selected Khalid Reeves. The number 12 pick from Arizona will move from shooting guard to the point. And the Pacers did give the fans at the Hoosier Dome something to cheer about.
The Indiana Pacers pick Damon Bailey, Indiana.
Not every pick greeted with that kind of ovation in Indiana. Sharon Wright goes to the Sixers. Lamont Murray goes to the Clippers. Montross, is he the Celtics center of the future? Yinka Dare will play with the Nets, and Clifford Rozier with the Warriors. D'Antonio Wingfield, pick number 37, goes to the Sonics, the freshman coming out. For more on draft night, we rejoin Dick along with Bob Ryan in New York.
A week ago, Bob Ryan named the first 5 choices in the NBA draft correctly, which proves either that he is a genius or that the choices were obvious. Bob, now here's something that isn't quite so obvious. Glenn Robinson, is he the kind of player who can turn a franchise around?
Well, Glenn Robinson will guarantee you points and rebounds along the lines of an Elvin Hayes kind of player. But the dimension that makes everybody else better, the passing that would make him a Larry Bird, no, it's not there. He's going to have a good effect on the team, but anyone thinking he's going to turn the team around and make them a Boston Celtics situation, they're dreaming. It's not going to happen.
One of the sidelights of the draft was the possibility of a trade involving Scottie Pippen and Sean Kemp. What happened? Why didn't it happen?
Well, it was about to happen when the word got out in Seattle, and the talk shows just buried the needle. They were crazy. And Barry Ackerley, the owner in Seattle, got afraid. So the Vox Populi ruined that trade. They did not want to give up Sean Kemp in Seattle.
2 years ago, anybody would have predicted that Jalen Rose would have gone very, very high in the draft. He slipped down into the second 10. Did this surprise you?
Well, actually, that was after kind of moving up a little bit from where he was at the start of the draft. Jalen Rose has always been an intriguing player because you don't know what he is. He has no position, which bothers some people and intrigues others. In the final analysis, a team that is moving up and has a coach, I think, with some flexibility, Dan Issel, Denver has taken him, and I think they don't know what he is either, but they like him, and they're just going to find a way to just let him play basketball.
Will the Knicks' addition of Williams and Ward add more W's for them?
Monty Williams could be the steal of the draft. If his heart holds up, nothing happens to Monty Williams, the Knicks have stolen a potentially outstanding player. I think he's a better player at 24 than Lamont Murray is at 8. And the Clippers took Murray. I think the Knicks could have lucked out big time with Monty Williams, who has skills, and without the heart situation, would unquestionably have been a lottery pick.
And Ward?
Charlie Ward is the second best point guard, and I think that they're going to be very, very happy with Ward. And it's arrivederci, Greg Anthony.
Arrivederci, Bob. Thank you very much. Back to you, Chris.
Not for long. He'll be back on the Sports Reporters. Now to motorsports. Nigel Mansell called himself just a weekend guest. His first race in Formula One since 1992. In a tragic season on the F1 circuit, they definitely need him, but it's not permanent. He's back on the IndyCar circuit next race. And the Grand Prix de France was the scene, as you may have seen this morning on ESPN. Mansell will return. You nervous? Well, he starts in position number 2. The key moment of the race was the start. Schumacher, the points leader in 3rd position, left-hand side of the screen, gets off to the great start, almost immediately surging into 1st place. Schumacher holding the lead almost the entire way. Meanwhile, lap 47, Mansell leaves the race with a gearbox problem, and Schumacher once again wins easily, his 6th victory in 7 races this year. Mansell, 21 pounds heavier than when he won the Formula One championship. Was that a factor? You have to ask Nigel. No change in the overall point standings. Meanwhile, yesterday, NASCAR, the Pepsi 400, Jimmy Spencer, his first Winston Cup win in 129 races. He beats Ernie Irvan in a very tight finish. Dale Earnhardt was 3rd. Coming up, the baseball revolution on the banks of Lake Erie. More wins, more fans, a lot more fun.
I mean, we get 40 thou a night and midweek and stuff like that. We never saw anything like this at the old stadium.
Here's the complete look at the National and American League scores from yesterday. In case you joined us late, we started a little early because of racing. So if you weren't there at that time, you get a second chance. And here's ESPN's holiday baseball schedule. The Twins and the first-place Indians have been almost unbeatable at home tonight at 8 Eastern Time. Then a 4th of July doubleheader. Most of you will see the Jays and the Royals. And then join the Expos and the Dodgers in progress at 10:30 Eastern Time. Well, these are strange days indeed in Cleveland. After so many years of heartbreak by the lake, of awful teams playing to empty seats, of seasons cursed by flukish injuries like Herb Scores or Ray Fosse's, after so many front office blunders, trading away Rocky Calavita, Roger Maris, young Chris Chambliss, and Joe Carter, among others, after all that, Mark Malone reports Clevelanders are now getting used to a very weird-sounding phrase.
Thank you for calling the first place Cleveland Indians.
What?
The first place Cleveland Indians.
A sign outside Jacobs Field reads, "Who's on first?" Perhaps it should read, "Who's in first?"
A three-way tie. Well, let's see what happens here. Way up. Good night from Cleveland.
After 40 years of darkness in one of the American League's original cities, a new day is dawning for the Cleveland Indians. With the hope that if you build it, they will come, the Indians have attracted a whole new tribe to the shining diamond they call Jacobs Field.
I mean, we get 40,000 a night and midweek and stuff like that. We never saw anything like this at the old stadium.
Anytime that anybody has any talent, they feel good about where they go to work, and they've got a chance to be very productive.
Jacobs Field gave the Indians a first-class facility, but it was up to general manager John Hart to assemble a first-class team. He began that process back in 1990 when he focused on a group of young players in hopes they would contend in the inaugural season here at Jacobs Field.
I go back to those early years, and I didn't want to go to dinner in this town at times. It got a little bit ugly because we did trade off the few stars that we did have, and I think making a commitment to play those young players and give them an opportunity to grow, and I think give some stability to this franchise with some good young players. And we went through a lean year or two with these kids as they began to grow. But I think the nucleus of this ball club is really the key to our success.
That nucleus includes Kenny Lofton, among the league leaders in batting and stolen bases, Carlos Baerga, who had 200 hits in each of his last 2 seasons, and slugger Albert Bell, the reigning American League RBI champ. But Hart recognized that experience is a necessary ingredient in any championship recipe.
I don't think any club will win if you don't have somebody that's been there before.
It was finally the point where Cleveland had to put up or shut up. You know, they go out and get the veterans that they promised with the opening of this new ballpark to solidify our team as a whole.
The Indians put up, acquiring veterans Eddie Murray, who gives them an established slugger to bat behind Bell, and pitchers Jack Morris and Dennis Martinez, who have each started 16 games already this year. Last season, the Indians boasted only 1 such starter. Morris averages over 6 innings per start. Martinez, almost 7.
3 M's, we call them. I think those guys have given us understanding of what it's like to win and give us a feel or give us a more relaxed atmosphere and tell us if we lose, say, hey, we just get them, the next day. But I guess a lot of guys get kind of down, and those guys come in and say, hey, it's another day tomorrow, and keep going.
The main thing is you try to stay on an even level. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. You just realize that you have a job to do, you do it the best you can.
This year, for the first time in decades, the Indians' best may be good enough.
Ball hammers it to deep right center field. Way back and gone, and the Indians win it.
In Cleveland, Mark Malone, ESPN.
Man, many thought the Tribe would be a year away, but here's how far they've come since last year. Bell, a lot to do with these numbers, but a long way to go. Indians fans don't want to think about 74. They were a half game out on the 4th of July. Then they slid to 4th place. Coming up, the most compelling moments from the first 2 days of the O.J. Simpson hearing, including prosecution laying out its case and a potential murder weapon.
He had an interest in some knives that we sell.
Hi, I'm Erica Steelinger.
Chris Columbia. Brad Edwards with MCI.
We're all here today, along with other MCI employees, to bring you the
Bottom of the hour on SportsCenter. The U.S. looks to celebrate Independence Day with fireworks. We'll preview the second-round World Cup match with Brazil. From high school to the Los Angeles freeway in a Ford Bronco, AC and OJ have had a special bond. We'll examine that friendship. Peter Gammons has his baseball all-star teams and a tribute to the Queen of Wimbledon on SportsCenter at 11:30. As coverage of the O.J. Simpson case continues, fewer and fewer Americans believe that it is possible he'd be able to get a fair trial. That's the finding in the latest ESPN Chilton poll. The poll, taken June 17th, 67% of those sampled thought the trial would be fair. That figure dropped to 50% when people were questioned between June 21st and June 30th. There's a margin of error of plus or minus 5%. Well, it's hard to imagine any of the principals involved in the Simpson preliminary hearing having a nice holiday weekend, but that was the wish expressed by the judge as she ended day 2 of an unusually detailed, drawn-out hearing filled with tactical forays and mysterious sealed packages. Mike Tirico recaps the opening phase of the People versus Simpson.
While investigators searched around O.J. Simpson's Brentwood estate for the murder weapon that killed Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, Deputy District Attorney Marcia Clark opened the preliminary hearing by placing Simpson in a Los Angeles knife shop in early May.
He had an interest in some knives that we sell.
Specifically, said Alan Wattenberg, owner of Ross Cutlery, a knife said to be the duplicate of this, 15 inches long with a 7-inch blade. The price, $74.98. Jose Camacho, the employee said to have actually sold the knife to Simpson, testified that Simpson paid cash and wanted the knife sharpened. Both Wattenberg and Camacho's testimony may have been undermined by the admission that they and Wattenberg's brother sold their story to the National Enquirer for $12,500.
With respect to most of these witnesses, however, they've already given statements to the police long before they speak to any tabloid, so they're on record as already having been very truthful and very open about what it is their subject of their testimony is about.
Clark and defense attorney Robert Shapiro jousted throughout the hearing's first day, arguing over how much blood might remain after police lab tests and over how much hair O.J. Simpson had to give for testing. Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell finally ordered Simpson to surrender between 40 and 100 hairs, and the judge also ordered that defense representatives must be present at all future scientific testing. Clark and Shapiro also debated a defense motion to throw out much and perhaps all of the blood-stained evidence recovered at O.J. Simpson's home because police may have obtained it improperly. Judge Kennedy Powell will rule on that motion Tuesday. But the biggest battle came with the arrival of, in mid-hearing, unspecified telephone records about which the prosecution would only say they'd be examined.
Your Honor, can this possibly be done in the appropriate manner?
This is the appropriate manner, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know that it has to be on the record.
Seems like a little bit of grandstanding, but
if the two of you,
maybe it isn't.
Me, I can't believe I heard Mr. Shapiro say that.
On Friday, the prosecution focused on the night of the double murder. Karen Lee Crawford, the bar manager of Mezzaluna Restaurant, said she put eyeglasses belonging to Nicole Brown Simpson's mother in a white envelope and gave that envelope to Ronald Goldman. Prosecutors then introduced a bloody envelope taken from outside Nicole Brown Simpson's condo. Pablo Fenves, a neighbor of Nicole Brown Simpson, testified he heard a dog wailing at around 10:20 p.m. Stephen Schwab said he left his house to walk his dog at 10:35 and at 10:55 saw a panting white Akita dog with blood on his paws. Sucre Bosepe testified he and his wife were outside around midnight trying to return the dog to its owner when the dog suddenly stopped in front of Nicole Brown Simpson's home.
Dog was just in front of me and I had to stop too. I turned right and looked exactly the same direction what dog was looking.
And what did you see?
I've seen a body.
As photographs of the body were displayed to Postepe, O.J. Simpson became visibly shaken, arching his head back and later wiping his face.
They are in the envelope, or whatever it is in the envelope here that I'm holding.
But emotion gave way to mystery as the biggest question of the Friday morning session concerned the contents of a sealed package handed to the judge containing unidentified evidence. The defense submitted the package, but defense attorney Shapiro requested the package not be opened immediately, since the defense had no obligation to disclose what was inside. Shapiro also introduced 3 microcassettes containing interviews the defense conducted with Simpson's house guest, Cato Kalin, and the limousine driver who took Simpson to the airport the night of the murders. Clark asked for a recess until Tuesday to review the tapes.
Coverage of the hearing will continue Tuesday. Complete coverage on ESPN2, coverage plus cut-ins in and around the World Cup games on ESPN. Covering the case, Mark Schwartz. He joins us now to look at what's happened and look ahead to what will happen upon Tuesday's resumption.
We've had 2 days of the preliminary hearing, but as of yet, Don Wager, we have had nothing that directly links O.J. Simpson to these 2 murders.
What murders? We don't have any evidence of murders. What we have now, Mark, is actually a dead body, one, lying on the pavement, head toward the sidewalk with blood flowing from it. That can happen when someone falls down and breaks open their head.
We have no witness, we have no murder weapon, and we really don't have a motive. But we did see the affidavit from the crime scene. We did see the property report, and it seems like there could be an awful lot of circumstantial evidence against O.J.
Well, it looks like there is from the reports. The problem is this. Can the prosecution get this into evidence over the objection of the defense in its motion to suppress? That is going to be held on Tuesday. We'll have the answer then.
You don't believe that the defense will win that motion to suppress?
Prosecution's got a winner, in my opinion.
Now, it seems to me that the prosecution is putting on an awful lot of evidence. I mean, this is a preliminary hearing, for goodness sakes.
Yes, they are. And one reason they do this is they want to pin down their witnesses. As you know, Bob Shapiro's people are out there interviewing people, and facts can change depending upon the interviewer. They get them in court, they get them under oath, they get what they want. They're not going to retract the statements under oath. That could lead to perjury charges.
Another intriguing element of day 2, the legal-sized envelope in the possession of a special master. Now, there's some potential evidence here. The defense, however, did not want this to be revealed to the prosecution quite yet. Why not?
Well, whatever in there is probably not very helpful to them. At the same time, they felt they had a duty to turn it over. So now it just sits there. The defense doesn't want to give it to them. The prosecution wants it. I think if I were the prosecutor, I'd say, I think I can wait to see this till after the preliminary hearing. There may be a bad surprise for the prosecution in there.
For example?
There could be a different weapon which the coroner might say, look, it doesn't fit these wounds.
The next witnesses we will hear from, we believe, are the caretaker of the Brentwood estate, Cato Kalin, and also Mr. Allen, the limousine driver who took Simpson to the airport. Now, the defense did its own interviews with those 2, and the prosecution seemed mighty concerned about that. Why?
Well, yes, they are, because when one person interviews, they get answers favorable to them. Another one, they get answers favorable. So Mr. Shapiro has done a rather clever thing. He's turned over evidence to the prosecution. He didn't have to do it. But he wants the prosecution to clean up the inconsistencies he knows are there, so the witnesses will testify favorably to the defense when they testify, no matter who calls them.
This is what you do for a living.
Yes, it is.
Multi-layered, I'll say that. That's it from here in Los Angeles. Now back to SportsCenter.
Okay, thanks. In a half hour on SportsCenter, a conversation with Wade Boggs, a preview of USA versus Brazil. That's in a half hour, but Dick Schaap and the sports reporters are up now.